Good morning, everybody. Trying to get things up and going. We'll get started in just a second. Good morning, Lori. Good morning, Robin. Please retweet if you will, and we'll get going in just 1 second. Trying to get everything up and running. There we go. Let's see. All right, perfect. Hey, Lori. Please, if you will, share to everyone. Good morning. Hey, Sylvia, Michael, good to see you. Nathan, good to see you. Please share, invite your followers. I know it's harder to share on Twitter now, but it can be done. Thankfully, it can be done. So thank you for tweeting out to everybody. As I mentioned yesterday, this is what you're seeing now on the screen is a book I've written called A Closer Walk in Prayer. There's the link to it if you'd like to go and download it. It's everything about prayer, I guess, that you ever wanted to know, because it talks to you about why we should pray, God's views on prayer, what does God think about it, why do we pray, what should we pray for, how do we do all of this, how do I get closer to God in prayer, and what does God think about it. So if you're interested, please go there and get it. Good morning, Dawn, good to see you. Good morning to the YouTubers. Volume is low this AM. Can everybody hear me? I love the book. It's awesome. Robin said thank you. And for those of you who went yesterday and downloaded the book, thank you so much for doing that. And I really appreciate it. And again, this book is for people who are already walking in their walk with God, and people who are not yet, and hopefully will become believers perhaps by reading this book. That would be great. That would be my wish. Yeah, I was talking a little bit low, Dawn, and I was moved over to the other side. That's probably why you weren't hearing me so well. All right, so let me quickly read to you Ecclesiastes 3, and then we'll get started. To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing, a time to gain and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. Good morning, Patrick. How are you from the Purple State? Yes, it was nice last night to see, Patrick, that your Purple State didn't let us down when it came to President Trump coming there, because you guys, I tell you, with the rally last night, it was amazing. I don't know that I've seen a bigger and louder crowd than I did last night in New Mexico, and that was great. It was a great rally, as always. A lot of people. I think there were maybe two protesters. Hey, Chesy, good to see you. Maybe two protesters. Hey, Barbara, good to see you. And that was pretty calm for a state that is a lot like Southern California. Hey, Pamela. So I was glad to see the support. I have to go back and watch it. Missed it live, Robin said. Yeah, it was good. He talks about some of the same things, but he always throws in his own personal stuff. Judy said that rally was awesome. Yep, things are changing here. Good, Patrick. Hopefully for the better. Hey, Monica. Hey, Lori. So hopefully for the better, and that there'll be more support for the president. I really think, I was talking to somebody last night, I think pretty much, and they do too, that the Latinos in New Mexico seem to really love Trump, and maybe they will pull that state in for President Trump in 2020. It's my country to one. How are you? Good to see you. All right, so let's get started. To reminder today, God's views on political news will be at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern time today. It's on Periscope, it's on Facebook, it's on YouTube. Hey, Brian, good to see you. If for any reason you have problems viewing it on Periscope, sometimes Periscope likes to freeze, please just go over to YouTube or Facebook. You'll see it there typically without any problems whatsoever. We had an absolute horrible meltdown of the equipment last week. Wasn't my equipment, but it was a meltdown nonetheless. We couldn't bring you the show. So pray that we are able to bring you the show today. That's all I can say. The enemy is strong, but we, with God, God is stronger. So we're going to get that going. All right. So let's get started. I'm going to bring you some things that you're not going to hear in the regular news. And sometimes I like to do that so you know a little bit more about what's going on. He seemed to be watching himself last night with less name calling. Judy said, yeah, probably so. I think somebody's probably told Trump that you need to be careful about that today. Today, in today's time, getting closer to the election. Hey, Susan, I need all prayer warriors praying for me. I sent you the details. Okay. Chessie, I didn't look at it because I was preparing for the show, but everybody please pray for Chessie and what her need is. It wasn't my equipment, BC, so I don't know where the equipment probably was made in China, though. I believe the citizenry in New Mexico is tired of being used, tired of being a liberal welfare state. Well, that would be good to think that was true, Patrick. I hope so. Now, the man that you're seeing on the screen, his name is Alex Newman. He has been on, when I used to do a lot of shows and bring guests on every week, Alex has written a couple books, and he likes to write the books about how everything is impacting our children in schools and in the public schools in particular. He went to this recent convention, in St. Louis. I think you probably saw some of the other Periscope pundits went to that. Alex Newman was there, and he spoke there as well. And Alex said, parents must get their children out of government schools as quickly as possible, and pastors should encourage them and help them to do it. He's the Liberty Sentinel chief, Alex Newman. He told hundreds of Eagles during his keynote address at the 2019 Phyllis Schlafly Eagle Council. Schlafly. That was in St. Louis. He said the crowd responded with a standing ovation. And he was surprised by the standing ovation. No, that's not Beto. Trust me. That's not Beto. The speech was called Rescuing Our Children and Our Nation. He argued that public education cannot be reformed. The reason it is doing exactly what it was intended to do by its architects, such as humanist luminary John Dewey, progressive radical Horace Mann, and even communist Robert Owen. We have talked about the progressives in here a number of times and what the progressives, what their scheme is. And then since the early 1900s, the progressives have been taking over the public schools, wanting to teach your children the liberal ideas, and they continue to do so today. Liberals are very much, they take their time, they can be subtle about it, but they're persistent and they just keep going. And that's what they've been doing. And that's what Alex tries to tell people about, so that they won't be surprised, that they'll know about it, and that, if possible, they can homeschool their kids or they can put their kids in a private school. He's very adamant about that. Now, he said that, Newman showed horrifying examples of the indoctrination taking place in schools, ranging from pro-LGBT propaganda and climate hysteria to fake history and fake science. He also showed government data proving that Americans are being dumbed down on a massive scale. So, again, if you're able to have your kids homeschool them, good for you. Hey, Renee, good morning. Hey, Rick. Rick said evolution hoax. Yeah. Hey, Miss Nikki, good to see you. If you're able to take your kids out of public school or homeschool them, put them in a private school, whichever, good for you. Hopefully you can. If it's not possible, hey, Sherry, you're going to have to go and be a part of school, right? What your child is learning. They don't necessarily want you there, but you need to go in there. You need to be a part of what is being taught and hear about it. Hey, Mystery Minds. So, anyway, if you like to read, just go to Liberty Sentinel, and you can read a lot more articles about Alex Newman, what he writes. He has a lot of good things that he's written. As I said, he was on my show a couple of years ago. If you go to Spreaker.com and look for Stand for Truth Radio with Susan Knowles and look up his name, you probably should find that. Miss Nikki said, I tried homeschooling for a year. Oh my God, I went crazy. You know, I don't think it's easy, Miss Nikki. I really don't. But the benefits I think that your kids get is amazing. I've seen a lot of people who homeschool their children, and their kids are, in a lot of respects, a lot farther along than other kids are. I homeschooled one of my kids, and one of them went to a charter school. Private Christian school, my 4-year-old. Good, Miss Nikki. You know, the thing that California is doing right now for charter schools, they've actually passed a resolution or a bill that says they can dictate, the public schools can dictate how many charter schools now are put in a certain location, because the charter schools were outdoing the public schools. You know, big surprise. And so the legislature got together, and the school got together and basically said, we're going to allow only so many charter schools. Horrible. Mr. Mind said, total agree. There's a lot of truth in that. My daughter's a school teacher in Pennsylvania, dictates what is taught. Exactly, BC. She's not allowed to teach whatever she wants. She has to follow a curriculum. Robin said, I've been homeschooling my kids for years. It takes time to adjust. I homeschool my oldest as well. Yep. Again, if you can do it, and it does take sacrifice, but I think the kids are really much better off. I mean, that's sad to say, but homeschooling is a labor of love. Absolutely, Renee. This is why the Democrats don't want choice. Oh, yeah, you better believe it. They're a lot like California in that way, because they want to tell you what to do. Now, here's some other news that I think is pretty interesting. I never want them in public school if I can help it. Good for you, Miss Nikki. Democrat lawmakers have invited this 16-year-old Swedish climate activist, Greta Thunberg, to testify before a joint House hearing on Wednesday on the global climate crisis. Now, can you believe that our Congress is bringing in as an expert a 16-year-old climate change activist? I mean, it's just amazing. I can't even, well, I can. Okay, but anyway, she's won a lot of applause around the world for her school strike for climate campaign, and is due to appear together with 3 young Americans before a joint hearing of the new House Select Committee on the Climate Crisis and a House Foreign Affairs Subcommittee dealing with energy and environmental issues. Yeah, she's been brainwashed. Well, Miss Nikki, she wants to come in and brainwash her kids in schools, okay? Because she arrived in New York City last month after crossing the Atlantic Ocean in a zero-carbon yacht. She opposes air travel because of carbon emissions. She came here to take part in a UN climate summit this month and other activities. And here's some other things that are going on with her. This Friday, there's going to be a demonstration are expected across the United States. Hey, Teresa. And around the world, led by young people inspired by her activism. So in other words, you're going to see children start to walk out of their classrooms again in support of this global climate change hoax. And this young lady is the activist that the children in school have been inspired by. So they also had a march in May, I think, attracted more than 1 million students and organizers. Predict that this month will be the largest mass mobilization for climate action in human history. So again, these people are going to walk out of school. Yeah, a 16-year-old, Chezzy, you got it right. Yacht. I know, how hypocritical, Miss Nikki. I know it's not, it's climate change approved, it's zero carbon emissions, but it's a yacht nonetheless. Anything to get famous, Dee said. Well, and again, the young people are going to most likely across the United States, for some states more so than others, going to get up, walk out of class in support of her. I thought I knew a lot when I was 16 too. Boy, was I wrong. Exactly, Rick. Of course, Rick, you didn't have people behind you who had an agenda pushing you either, right? Hey, Aussie Nick, Greta the brainwashed leading the great strike for uneducation. Exactly. So this is what we are seeing, more and more going on, thanks to the UN, thanks to the climate change people like AOC, thanks to people who allow their children to get up, do whatever they want, leave class if they want, in order to support the climate change hoax. Did I say that right? I think I did. I really did. Okay, so now we have, of course, this new thing that you know about, which is, let's go after Brett Kavanaugh. Even though over the last couple days, the New York Times came out and said that about him in regards to, here's another person that's saying Brett Kavanaugh did something to them when he was in college. And then they determined that was a hoax, right? So they can't let it go, of course, those on the left. They're going to take it, even if it is a lie, and keep that lie going. And that's exactly what is happening. One of the Jezebel squad, Ayanna Presley, this is a statement from her. She said, I believe Christine Blasey Ford. I believe Deborah Ramirez. It is our responsibility to collectively affirm the dignity and humanity of survivors. And she's going to be introducing a resolution today in regards to an inquiry into a Kavanaugh impeachment. Again, even though we know that the person said, hey, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember anything, what this person is saying in the book. I don't remember anything. We're going to go ahead. Because why? Because they have absolutely nothing else. Judy said, I can see people here. You can, Judy. You can. In YouTube. Yes, you can see the conversation going on in Periscope and in Facebook from there. Robin said, oh, this is driving me nuts. It's clearly a lie. The left will ruin lives to get what they want. Absolutely they will, Robin. They will stop at nothing to do it. And they prove it time and time and time and time again that they will do that. And so that's her statement. She has a resolution. It's printed online under this guy or woman, I don't know which one it is, Twitter handle. So if you want to go there, if you, for whatever reason you want to read that, be my guest. Rick said Dems are desperate. Barbara said, wait, we already have done this. And Ford had another agenda. Kavanaugh is being brought up to set precedents in court about fake media. It's my country too, one said, is being brought up to set precedent in courts about fake media. Not really sure I understand that, but I think Kavanaugh thought voting their way would help them at bay, hold them at bay, and it's not. He's a bit moderate. But he always was, Miss Nikki. I don't think he's voting their way. I think he's voting the way, he's moderate. Barbara said, we already heard this story and it was debunked then. Yeah, it doesn't matter, Barbara, because the left they don't really care about the truth. The truth doesn't stand in the way of what they need to push and the agenda they need to push. So if it comes out and it's a lie, that's okay for them. They're perfectly happy with that. Hey, Cully, nothing has worked against Trump, so now they're going after Kavanaugh again. Yeah, so to circle back, Robin, and connect him with Kavanaugh, and this is who put Kavanaugh in, and look how horrible Kavanaugh is. He's sexually abused women, and so has Trump. There's some guy who claims to be a bishop on Twitter. If you run into him, you'll know him by the fruits of his messages. He is so anti-Trump that he is defaming Trump in every way he can, making allegations that have absolutely no validity to them at all. Judy said, why does it say Restream bot in front of everyone's name? Because it's a bot, Judy, that takes all of the platforms that you're on, meaning YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope, and it puts the messages that are being said, the comments that are being said, right there on YouTube. So it's a Restream bot that is doing that. That's why you're seeing the comments that you're seeing. Kavanaugh will not be impeached, but they will try, and neither will Trump, Miss Nikki, but they will try because they have nothing else. They have absolutely nothing else. Democrats have already voted to confirm Kavanaugh several times already. Yep, false prophet. Monica said, which one is a false prophet, Monica? Ayanna? Because that whole Jezebel squad is kind of they're false in and of themselves. Now we have, let's see. Yeah, having the courts address this at the highest level is genius. This was a trap set for fake media. It's My Country said. All right, so let's see. More news, this time on the president. We have yesterday, the prosecutors in New York are reportedly escalating their efforts to obtain President Trump's tax returns as a part of their investigation into hush money that was paid to Stormy Daniels and other women, allegedly. The prosecutors are requesting this company that he works with provide both federal and state tax returns for Trump and the Trump Organization dating back to 2011. I mean, these people want everything. And New York, especially, is trying to go after him because, you know, they can see the Congress isn't doing a good job. So they're like, well, let's see what we can do. Let's go get him another way. Now, the prosecutors, the subpoena marks the latest effort from Democrats at multiple levels of government to obtain and examine Trump's tax returns. And they're just not going to stop until they get them, or until they can say he's hiding them, or whatever the case may be. Accounting firm, yeah. And you know, it's like, I don't care. I really don't care. I don't care if he paid Stormy Daniels. You know, I'm so sick of them going after him for his taxes, Dawn said. Absolutely. I want to see all their tax returns so they can see Trump's. We should be able to see theirs. You know, the thing of it is, you got Ilhan Omar, that did a number of things with the IRS and her accounting system there. Things that she said she was married when she really wasn't married, but put those on the tax returns. And what happens? They just go, oh gosh, sorry that you did that, but it's okay. I mean, so far nothing's happened to her. But we have President Trump, who they want to keep going after to try to get a campaign finance violation with how these women were supposedly paid. John said they always want to pursue allegations unless it's against a Democrat. They absolutely need to keep all this going until the election to distract the people and cause doubt in the voter. Exactly, John. Yes, tax returns, yawn. Exactly, Nick. But they got him on the Great Pancake Steal. I know. Did you see that pathetic article from Newsweek today? It came out, I think, a day ago or something like that. They went and talked to a 79-year-old woman that may be a cousin on his mother's side to say, I don't really like Donald Trump because he stole pancakes. Wow. I mean, I'm embarrassed for Newsweek. I really am embarrassed for Newsweek. Really, if that's all that you had, if that's the only story that you had, maybe you should have just kept it off the airwaves. I mean, seriously, that's disgusting. It's unbelievable. Robin said they're not going to drive away Trump's base. We know what they're doing. Yes, I about died, Judy said. Must have been a nice trip for the reporter. Exactly. It's My Country too. One is laughing. I mean, God, talk about desperation. If other people can't see it, I don't know. I'm worried about what SDNY is hiding after Trump leaves office. Well, who knows? Release the memes. Judy said. The Southern District of New York. You don't know what the Southern District of New York is going to do. I mean, they're probably just as corrupt as anybody that they're trying to signal that are corrupt. I can't say that for sure, but they could be. Dawn said it makes me wonder who really runs this country because the Dems seem to get away with everything. They do, Dawn. Absolutely. Two-tiered system. Omar lies about just about everything, but the gate will be huge. Oh, but something gate. I can't see what that is. It's just a symbol on my board. The media is nothing more than the Dems propaganda machine. Absolutely, they are. Absolutely, they are. And people worried about, President Trump on Twitter. They should be worried about how the state-run paper as if it's, we could call it that, is pro Democrat. The more they do it, the more his base is cemented. That's true, D. It's true. All right, now I have another story to bring you. The one that to me is very disturbing. Pancake Gate. Oh, okay, I got you, Nick. True, very true. Okay, I don't know if you remember a while back, I told you about a friend of mine. This is Brandon Coleman. He's a friend of mine who was a whistleblower at the VA in Virginia. And he joined the Government Accountability Office. He met President Trump, and he he's run into some problems. And I want to tell you about this because we're hearing absolutely nothing about this on the news. Prosecutors in New York, no, sorry, I started reading at the wrong place. Representative Andy Biggs from an Arizona Republican, so Representative Andy Biggs, on Monday raised concerns over allegations of wrongdoing and retaliation against employees working to protect whistleblowers at the Department of Veterans Affairs. Coleman, one of the highest profile employees of the whistleblower office, has now requested protection from another federal agency that protects whistleblowers, the U.S. Office of Special Counsel. In his request, which he has also sent to members of Congress, Coleman described the work environment as toxic and said the office has turned into a dumpster fire, according to a copy of his complaint sent July 31st. We need help, Coleman said. How can you treat your employees the exact way we're trying to protect employees from being treated? In a letter sent to VA Secretary Robert Wilkie, the incoming House Freedom Caucus chairman, that was Biggs, said he was approached by two high-profile employees in the agency's Office of Accountability and Whistleblower Protection, that's OAWP, alleging that they've been victims of retaliatory acts. My office, Biggs said, was recently approached by Mr. Brandon Coleman and Ms. Michelle Hubbard, the whistleblower program specialist at the Office of Accountability and Whistleblower Protection, with concerns of wrongdoing at the OAWP, as well as allegations of further whistleblower retaliation against them and other OAWP employees for raising issues of concern plaguing the organization. Now, you can hear how bad this is. And again, this is concerning the VA. It's concerning, people think, oh, everything is fine with the VA. There are no problems. We fixed that. We can move on. Veterans get choice, blah, 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 and everything's fine. As you're hearing, everything is not fine. These allegations are coming out from Brandon and this other lady, Michelle Hubbard, who are trying to blow the whistle, sound the alarm that there's a problem. Mr. Coleman, this is from Biggs, Mr. Coleman and Ms. Hubbard suffered professionally and personally for their previous efforts at pointing out wrongdoing within the VA. Now they find themselves in the same situation for opposing evisceration of the very program established to prevent retaliation against whistleblowers. The letter follows allegations earlier this year about retaliation against whistleblowers. 3 VA employees said in interviews with USA Today that they were sidelined at their jobs and stripped of responsibilities after they drew attention to improper treatment of patients. Despite impressive track records of success, they are now facing threats of possible demotions through an internal reorganization that would structurally eliminate their current roles. And what they're saying is that Brandon Coleman and Michelle Hubbard, through this reorganization, this restructuring, they would lose their jobs. That's another good way, if you will, to get rid of whistleblowers by getting rid of their jobs. So you don't have to deal with them and maybe them filing a complaint. You can just restructure and push them out. And that's what they're claiming right now is happening. He requested Wilkie, this is Biggs, requested Wilkie detail what steps the VA is taking to ensure independence from the agency's Office of General Counsel and how it is complying with the statutory provision that requires the agency to train VA employees on whistleblower disclosures. Biggs requested answers to those questions by October 7. The litany of reduced duties imposed upon Mr. Coleman and Miss Hubbard, along with the animus demonstrated by OAWP's outright dismissal of their pleas for participation in the development and delivery of the mission-critical education, training, and outreach programs, indicate a disparate treatment and retaliatory motivation that should not be business as usual at a whistleblower protection agency. Hey, Danielle. So again, you got to understand, these people, Brandon and Michelle Hubbard, these people are the ones who are in this office assigned to make sure that other whistleblowers are protected, and they're claiming that they themselves are being retaliated against for blowing the whistle about the OAWP. So there's still a huge, if this is true, there is still a huge problem that the VA has when you're going after, if this, again, if it's true, and you're going after your whistleblowers, and you can't, these are the people, these whistleblowers in this top position, like Brandon is in, their jobs are to protect whistleblowers within the VA. They're saying, Brandon and Ms. Hubbard in this article are saying, we can't even protect ourselves right now. We certainly can't do our jobs to protect others in the VA who are whistleblowers and need to be protected. So, let's hope that this situation gets taken care of. This should be sounded across the media. Everybody should know about this. I'm hoping that the president is going to find out about this. I dare say he knows what's going on. This would not be something that would typically, be what goes to his level. It would be somebody else taking care of it. So keep them in your prayers, if you will, and that everything works out the way that it's supposed to, meaning that justice is served. Ms. Nikki said, okay, I understand now. Okay, cool. VA wastes a great deal of money. That they do, Judy. But, there's I read an article the other day about the VA, and there was a man who was a veteran in their hospital, and he was dying of cancer, I believe is what the story was. And he was bitten so many times by ants. They were kind of like eating him alive in a way. And this was at the VA. Robin said the media won't tell about this. We do need Trump to say something. Prayers for them. Absolutely, Robin. And again, this article that I was reading, that these are allegations, but this was supposedly at the VA hospital. Good morning, Susan. I'm not surprised they're going after the whistleblowers. Sadly, anyone who speaks the truth and exposes the evildoers is faced with this. Sad. It is. My gal moo. It is. It's nuts. Anyone would think the VA are there to serve the public and veterans. Well, they should be. But the VA has had problems forever. If I were in charge, and I'm not, I would dismantle the VA completely. And I would have it run by private organization. The VA would be gone. Gone, gone, gone. Now, and I know other people, they love the VA. They swear by it. Oh, Monique, that's right. Sorry, Monique. I was never a fan of the VA. My father tried to get help from the VA from a hearing loss that he got in the Korean War. Didn't help him. I've talked to I can't even tell you how many other veterans that have been claimed they've been poorly treated in the VA. So, enough is enough. If you get so many people saying the same thing, then you've got to start believing that it's true. There's your one payer system. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it never works. It never works. And I think these people, veterans that are able now to go out and get private doctors, I think that's a great thing. The VA misdiagnosed my old man. They said he had MS, and for many years he thought he was going to die, and to find out he didn't have it. Wow, Jennifer. Yes, take it apart. Too much cronyism, Ms. Nikki said. Yeah, something's wrong with the VA. There's been something wrong at the VA probably its entire existence. And one might think that's because it's government run. Just saying. Okay. But yes, please keep Brandon in your prayers and Miss Hubbard, and I will try to update you when I get more information about what's going on, if I do. Now let's see. Let's switch gears to Comey. A new book by a man named Josh Campbell. Oh, I forgot. We are past the halfway mark. If you could please retweet and invite your followers in, I would really appreciate it. I forgot all about that. It's great to always be reminded and bring people in because we typically I forget to do that. So anyway, okay. So a man named Josh Campbell. He's a former FBI assistant to Jim Comey. I'm sorry. I'll say I'm sorry for you right now, Josh Campbell. But Susan, I was banned from posting on Facebook because of a picture of Hitler that I posted in 2009. Monique, that's crazy. Are you totally banned forever from doing that? From posting again, ever? And Monique, get over to Clout Hub. Sign up at Clout Hub today. CLOUTHUB. Josh Campbell, a former assistant to Jim Comey, reveals new details about an infamous briefing to President Donald Trump, which we've heard about in regards to the Steele dossier. Campbell, who's now a CNN analyst, who isn't a CNN analyst, that used to be a Democrat or a former FBI agent, tied up in all of the Steele dossier. Ask yourself. He said that Comey took the unusual steps of requesting a top secret laptop be handy to write notes following the Trump meeting. And we know, as Comey has testified, that he went out to his car, he got on this laptop, and he did make notes on that laptop. I just got breaking news. Let me just see what that is really quickly. And I'll continue. Democrat senators introduced bill to block Trump's public charge immigration rule. So there you go. That's the first step in trying to block their. I believe it's the one where you have to go and seek asylum in the first place that you come to. Allows the government to deny entry or green cards to immigrants based on their use of public programs like food stamps. Okay, so that's a little different. So that's what they're doing. True intent of the public charge rule is to create a climate of fear among immigrant families, and sadly, it's working. That was from Mazie Hirano. You remember her. Okay, so back to Comey. Comey has told a different story in public, though, saying that the meeting was intended only to make Trump aware of the dossier's allegations. So he says one thing, he does another. People are calling him out on it now. Although the FBI director travels with an array of specialized equipment that keeps him connected 24/7 to the White House and the rest of the nation's command authority, this was the first time ever in my 9 months working for him, this is what Josh Campbell has said, that Comey had ever asked me to make a laptop available to him immediately following a meeting. So again, Comey knew exactly why he was going in. He knew exactly what the deal was. He knew exactly that he was trying to set the president up and quickly write down information that he could give to his friend, which ultimately got the Robert Mueller brought in because Comey had done all the things that he did. Comey being the wonderful guy. Yeah. Let's see. Judy, banned from going live until October 13th. We'll try Cloud Hub, but for the life of me, I can't understand why Facebook did this to 10 years after the fact. Because you are a conservative, Monique. That's why. Miss Nikki said, I'm still trying to understand Cloud Hub. Anyone else on Cloud Hub? Miss Nikki, just takes time. Just start following people, start commenting. You'll get the hang of it. It's really pretty simple. It's a lot like Twitter. Pope Pius the 13th helped find Hitler's army, and I posted pictures on Hitler and no Roman Catholic Church. Hitler salute. Facebook tried to tell me it was fake, even though you can find the information in old history books. Jennifer said, yeah. All right. So now we have, I want to play you this YouTube from yesterday of Ilhan Omar, and I want you to listen to what she's saying and how she's saying it. she's speaking about herself and what somebody wants you to do. Let me see if I can bring it up without a commercial.
That is how many of us got involved. Once you recognize there's a problem and you understand how you yourself can be part of the solution, then you must do that. So I hope, and I beg of you, to really think about what is your role as a member of our community, our society, our country, our world, to dealing with some of these policy challenges. Make sure you're voting. Make sure you understand why you're voting, and make sure that you know who you are voting for. And yes, God has obligations to all of us, but God expects us to do the righteous work. And so God does not expect you to vote for people who will ultimately hurt you and other humans around you. So thank you very much.
So, in other words, again, it's kind of one of those things. And how can I say this delicately? Let me just go on to another subject and say this kind of delicately. The enemy is very powerful. The enemy can make the words coming out of their mouth sound very godly. And you have to be careful of what you're hearing and who it's coming from. And you have to check the Bible in order to make sure what is being said is actually coming from God and not somebody pretending to be God. So, I'm just going to leave it at that. And yes, God does not want us to vote for someone that is going to hurt other people. But I don't think that means climate change, which I think that's kind of how it was kind of mentioned there. But more so that you are to be a good steward, that you're to be a good person, that you're to find that you want somebody who believes in God's principles. Yeah, Omar speaking for God now. She makes me ill, Monique said. Yes. That was horrible. I know, Michael. And I apologize for having to play that, but I wanted you to hear what she was having to say. Ugh. So that was enough of her. Former Planned Parenthood executive turned whistleblower Abby Johnson said Monday that she wants to. I don't know if I have a picture of her or not. Yes, I do. Okay, she wants to. She wants to welcome recently fired Planned Parenthood president Dr. Leana Wen. Said that she would be welcomed to the pro-life side with open arms. And she was reportedly canned. Wen was reportedly canned by Planned Parenthood for refusing to use so-called transgender inclusive language and pushing against Planned Parenthood's emphasis on abortion procedures rather than women's health. And she also, Wen, who is currently pregnant. Now, can you imagine, and I know people do it, but can you imagine working at Planned Parenthood assisting with abortions when you're pregnant? I can't even almost imagine that. But the Wen is currently pregnant, and she's claiming that Planned Parenthood is holding her continued health care benefits until she agrees to sign a blanket non-disclosure agreement. Can you imagine that, if that's true? Here are these people that claim that they are so worried about women's health care. And this woman is saying that they are withholding her health care benefits, kind of holding them hostage until she signs a non-disclosure agreement. This is something they should have had her sign at the beginning of her employment. Probably forgot to do that. Absolutely unbelievable, Monique said. Yep, it's hypocritical, killing other people while you're having yours, Robin said. Planned Parenthood pregnancy, do they pay maternity leave? Probably, Nick. They probably do. Horrifying, Nina said. Yes, hey, Nina, good to see you. It is horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. So anyway, the woman, of course, got fired, so she's no longer with them. And as Abby Johnson is saying, we will welcome you in the pro-life movement with open arms. So hopefully, Wynn will take her up on that. That would be nice. Just sickening. Robin said, "Yeah, it is just sickening." But again, think of the irony and the hypocrisy in that. It's pretty amazing, but something that we're used to seeing. Now, this man right here is abortionist Ulrich Klopfer. Klopfer. It's hard to say his name. Ulrich Klopfer. Bodies of 2,246 aborted babies were found in his home. And he previously operated in 2020 Democrat contender Mayor Pete Buttigieg's Buttigieg is South Indiana. So he was an abortionist in South Bend, Indiana. And they have just discovered 2,246 fetuses in his yard. Now, he's deceased. He committed abortions at the Women's Pavilion in South Bend, Indiana, home to the University of Notre Dame and the city where Buttigieg rose to political prominence, and in other Indiana facilities until his medical license was suspended in 2016. Hey, you know, I look at this and it's horrific, but I'm thinking to myself, I don't know the difference between what this guy did and Gosnell. I don't know the difference between what this guy did and Planned Parenthood's 2,246 baby parts. I don't know what the difference is. Judy says, "Oh my God, Planned Parenthood is population control," Rick said. So, I mean, what's the difference? It is so sickening, Nina. It's horribly sickening. And then we've got California. The California legislature, despite numerous concerns expressed by pro-lifers, the colleges and the state finance department, the state assembly voted 55-19 in favor of Senate Bill 24. Now, what this does, hey, Carmen, the bill, which now goes to Governor Gavin Newsom's desk, and it looks like it's going to be signed. Jennifer said murder is smarter. It doesn't matter who did it, Jennifer said. I think you may have meant another word, but I'm not sure which word you meant. The bill, which now goes to Newsom's desk, mandates that all public colleges and universities provide abortion drugs for free to students up to 10 weeks of pregnancy starting January 2023. Newsom, a pro-abortion Democrat, is expected to sign the bill. California legislatures are recklessly experimenting with students' lives and health by advancing a plan to force school health centers to become abortion centers, abortion vendors. What was his purpose in keeping babies' body parts? I don't know, Judy. Probably to hide them. I don't know. Murder is murder. Yeah, Jennifer. That's what I thought you meant, but I wasn't sure. Autocorrect, I know, get you every time on that. So anyway, thank you, Susan. I'll have to watch replay. Keep getting booted. Praying for you. Thank you, Renee. You may want to check your system because YouTube won't boot you, and neither will Facebook. So if you can get to either one of those, other people aren't getting booted. So I'm guessing it's just your connection somehow. And here is something else that is really awful. And this happened in Florida. And I'm telling you this because it's important. It's important for people who play this back on the replay to hear what's going on. Monique said, as if the act of abortion is not enough, more barbaric to keep body parts hidden in his home. What a sicko. In Florida this week, at a hearing on Capitol Hill on the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act, Congressman Chris Smith, chair of the Pro-Life Caucus, issued the following statement. In a Florida abortion clinic, Cycloria Williams delivered a live baby girl at 23 weeks. The clinic owner took the baby, who was gasping for air, cut her umbilical cord, threw her into a biohazard bag, and put the bag in the trash. And the heartbroken Cycloria later had a funeral for her baby girl, who she named Shanice. Now, I'm sorry, why is this person, the abortionist, why are they not in jail? Because obviously the child was born alive. They could have kept that baby alive, but he cut the umbilical cord, he or she, and put the baby into a biohazard bag, according to what this congressman has to say. Go figure that one. What's the difference between a guy taking abortion parts and putting them in his yard? I think it's probably worse to actually be the one that put the baby in a biohazard bag than keeping body parts in the yard. Although they're both, the abortionist killed them too, so I mean, really isn't much difference. But I mean, this is crazy. I know Carmen. Carmen says, "Oh my, it's ridiculous." So that's what's going on. That's not being reported because you're not supposed to hear those things. You're supposed to be pro-abortion, and if you hear those things, you can't be pro-abortion. You might think that there's something wrong with abortions. What is wrong with these dang people? My God, I hope there's a special place in hell for these people. Jennifer said. Judy said, Maranatha, that's so cruel. God will judge. Oh, absolutely, he will judge. All right, so let's get on a lighter subject, although it's as disgusting, but not in the same way. This was a, I can pop it up here. This came from Tulsi Gabbard. She said, Trump awaits instructions from his Saudi masters. Having our country act as Saudi Arabia's B is not America first. So she was mad that President Trump was saying, we're going to kind of wait and see what the Saudis find out about what's going on. And if it really is the Iranians, we're going to wait and see what they find out, which is prudent to do. And anyone would have done that. Of course, she has to blame him for that. But it got worse. She said, real Donald Trump, despicable offering to place our military assets under the command of a foreign country, Saudi Arabia, is a disgrace and betrayal of my patriotic brothers and sisters in uniform and to our Constitution. We are not your prostitutes. You are not our pimp. And I don't know, the only thing that I have to say to Tulsi is that you've kind of gone off the deep end with that kind of rhetoric, but I think it was intentional, and I think that you really do believe that type thing. So I also think it's very judgmental and hypocritical, because if she were president, and she never will be, she would be waiting to see what Saudi Arabia would say, or any other country, to see what they've found out. They're over there. They're in the Middle East. They would know better what's going on than we would. So it's prudent to wait. Robin said they are not his masters. They wouldn't be under their control. They would be under Trump's control. Exactly. Monique said, wow. Judy said, wow, at what she said. Yeah, Tulsi's a little misguided. People who abort, can they be forgiven by God? Miss Nikki, yes. Murder is forgivable if you repent of your sins and ask God for forgiveness. Jennifer, they're already in their hell on earth. I imagine it'll be far worse come Judgment Day. Monique said, Tulsi's lost it since she's out of the spotlight in dim debates. Yeah, people on the left always try to do something to get back into the spotlight. Where was that when President Obama said we needed to wait before we judge to see what really happened? But of course, some people are hypocritical. Jennifer said, what dumb comment. Danielle said, PTSD, perhaps. I would call it something else, Judy, but she needs to go to the VA for mental help. Barbara said, we have to pray for Donald Jr.'s spiritual life. If he runs in 2024, he needs to become a strong Christian. Monica said, there's a huge push by the deep state to push. Mr. 2U said, that's why Trump is president and she is not. Exactly, Rick. And she will never be president with that attitude. She's a little, I don't know. I think it's attention seeking is the right word for it. I think that's what she's just trying to get back in the limelight. She's been pushed out by Kamala. She's been pushed out by Warren and Biden, and she's trying to figure out, how do I get back on top? I was on top and now I'm not. There's a huge movement by the deep state to push us into war with Iran. Mr. To You said, TDS kicking in with Tulsi now. Yes. There could be a big move to push us into the war with Iran, but Iran is really making it obvious that they want war with Saudi Arabia and with us. So kind of, we'll have to wait and see what's happening. We shouldn't have to go to war, but at one point we will go to war with with Iran, and that's when they go in and eventually attack Israel. We will try to help. I don't know how much we'll help, but we won't be helping them that much. Pray for Trump and his whole family, absolutely. Pray for Trump and his whole family, and especially Barron, how they keep going after him and attacking him. I have to say that if Barron were a female, if he had a daughter instead, a minor daughter instead of a male son, they might not attack. But can't say that for sure because the left has lost it anyway. All right. Now, this is I'm sure you remember this person. This is let's see where I have the picture. Thought I put a picture up here, but maybe I didn't. Oh, here we go. You remember the Navy SEAL. This is Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher, who was acquitted of murder in July. He is suing his attorneys, his former attorneys now, and a veteran legal defense fund, alleging they intentionally delayed his trial in a money-making scheme. He's saying that in the complaint that he filed on Friday, he names the attorneys and the defense fund. He said it comes a month after the former attorneys filed a mediation claim seeking $1 million from Gallagher for alleged unpaid legal fees. Can you imagine that? You're accused of committing a crime. You go out and you get an attorney, you get a legal defense firm that tells you, according to Gallagher, that they will pay for his fees, and they kind of try to convince him to come with them. He says because they said that they would pay for his fees. Said the complaint goes on to allege that they languished in pre-trial confinement. He did for several months while engaging in delay tactics and needlessly running up the legal bills. So he said they persuaded him to hire him by promising his legal fees would be covered by the organization. And again, if his legal fees were $1 million, can you imagine what the legal fees on somebody like Flynn would be? I mean, I can't even imagine how these people would pay for that. And again, they put their hopes, they're saying, in these attorneys and this particular law firm that said, you come with us and we will pay for your legal fees. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. That's certainly his allegations, and it looks like, that it's going to have to be go to court to find out, if that's really what happened. Good for him. I hope he wins, Monique said. Judy said, yes, it was a daughter Biden would grope. Dr. Waddle said about Barron. No, I was rude about Chelsea Clinton. Barbara said, well, Barbara, you may have been rude about Chelsea, but we're not talking about everyday people. We're talking about other politicians. We're talking about the mainstream media. We're talking about people, who shouldn't be talking about the president's child, no matter who's the president and no matter who the child is. I was just thinking of Flynn. I know Flynn. I don't know how that guy is ever going to recover. I do have hopes for him that he is going to, the charges are going to be dropped. I mean, this attorney, Sidney Powell, that he has now, is absolutely amazing. And she's on the ball with things. So I can't imagine her not doing what she needs to do in order to get him all charges dropped, because of the fact that as she said, that prosecution has withheld information all along that he needed to be exonerated. So we are at the very end. I want to just remind you again of my book, A Closer Walk in Prayer. If you're interested, just go to SusanKnowles.com. There's the link for it. And you can download the book in a PDF for a very small nominal amount that I'm asking for. It's called A Closer Walk in Prayer. That will help you to become closer in your walk with God and your prayer walk with Him. And it's also good to help somebody else who hasn't even decided to become a Christian, that this may persuade them, if you will, that why they should become a Christian, what God's views are about prayer, and why we should pray. So I hope that you tell people about it, and go there today and get the book. It's a 34-page book, and I think it has a lot of things in there. I intentionally wrote it so that everybody would benefit from it, and I appreciate your support in getting it. And so in an hour from now, we're going to be back for God's views on political news. That will be coming up today at just an hour from now, 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And if you will, please, everybody, retweet this. And if you have problems today seeing God's views, always go to YouTube. You can see it there. Shouldn't be any problem. So until Thursday, God bless you. Take care. See you then.